There we go. Hello, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon and good evening. Nice to see everyone in the chat. I'm going to try a couple new things today, so bear with me. Experimenting here. First of all, I need some input on, do we go forward or backward in time? I've got 8 books. I'm cheating because I actually have 9 books to review in today's wrap-up, but I finished the last one late last night and I did not want to redo the thumbnail and I wanted to reflect on it some more. So that's going in the next Wednesday wrap-up in 2 weeks' time. So should we go forwards chronologically through books I've read or backwards? That means starting either with a Regency fantasy romance or a Black woman's cookbook, Black Foodways. Let me know what you think. And in the meantime, subscribe if you're here. Howdy doody. Help yourself to a book off the shelf. They're 75% off until August, and all the links are in the description. I have various links ready for when I come to those points. I have gathered quotes in my commonplace journal. So hopefully I've prepared for this well enough and you won't even notice when I have to write in the banner each time and just use the same banner instead of having them all ready and flipping them up. Right? Right. Okay, so let me visit the chat and say hello. Jim stopped by. Thank you, Jim. Once again, my live stream coincides with his lesson, so he's booped the like button and will perhaps be back later, which is lovely. Julie is here. Everybody relax. I'm here. And she said that's for you, Greg, which is perfect. Constance is here. Popped in, hit the like button. Wish everyone a good day. Thank you, Constance. Ven is here. I just put something in another live stream with Ven's name. And I was thinking for some reason it was Ven's Corner. And now I know it's Ven's Book Corner with underscores. So that is helpful for remembering the channel spelling. Catpa is here. Morning. Lovely to see you. Oh, Julie's throwing it back in my face. You choose. Forward or backward? Well, backward is the way that the stack is organized for now. Oh, okay. All right. I'm not going crazy. That's good to know. But then is melting. That's not good to know. That's unhappy to know. I'm sorry. Today is our last day of a heat wave, knock on wood, because again, it's going to be 89, 90 degrees here. And I might just be escaping and heading to the coast. So we'll see. We'll see. I will be able to tell you on Friday whether I, not evaporated, apparated. That's the word I was looking for. Out to cooler climes. And then by the time Friday rolls around, Friday and Saturday, we've got rain in the forecast. So welcome to 2026. Cat Paw says yesterday was insanely hot in Mexico. Ugh, yep. Ugh, I hate it. It's 30-ish today. I think it's warmer in the house. Oh, Jesus. What are you doing? Get those fans going. I don't have AC in my house. And so what I do for that is get up early in the morning and have a couple hours where I'm pulling the cold air in from the west side of the house where my front door is, and then I shut the windows and pull the curtains on the east side where the sun is coming in and try to like create my own little refrigerator. It's been working pretty good, as I said, so I'm going to keep doing that. But I wish everyone who is dealing with this in other climes best of luck crafting their own strategies for sure. That is what the fan is on. Boo. Boo. I forgot to open my bedroom window last night, so I did not get the full benefit of the cool night air. So I'm kind of kicking myself. I woke up at 4:30 and was able to open it then. I was like, oh, so I put the fan on then. Oh my gosh. Erin, hello. Good morning. Good evening. It's insanely hot here as well, and my flat is small and covered in glass. Oh, so you're in a greenhouse. Oh, sorry. Yeah, not designed to release heat. I mean, that's good for the winter. Building envelopes are important, but you got to know how to work around them every once in a while to beat the heat. All right. I'm so sorry, guys. Let me commiserate. We're going to go backwards in time for this Wednesday wrap up. And I'm going to type in all the titles as we go, so there will likely be some typos. I apologize in advance. First up, going back in time, because I just finished this yesterday. And here's my planned notes on this. See, I prepare for you guys. It's a cookbook. It's a cookbook. Look at that. Isn't that cool cover? Cooking from Scratch. It's by Toya Booty. She's a New Orleansian, and she's holding these beautiful, huge vegetable leaves of, I'm guessing, like collards, because they're huge, and then the carrots on the bottom. So I picked up this book from the library, and it just came out because I love Marcy's channel. Marcy is the belle dame, shall we say, at Brown Girl Collective. I've had her on the channel. She was on for Agitation August last year, and she has 2 series. One of them is about wellness, and it's called Live Well Sister. So one of the recent guests was Toya Booty, and she talked about her cookbook, which just came out, as I said. So it's a lot of like feel-good foods. Some are slow cook, some are dips, and she made them all look very, very pretty. There are a significant amount of like Southern flavored foods, but also just like what has hit the mainstream in terms of fusion and adjusting things to her dairy allergies. And the coolest thing about this, I thought, is that she peppers it with not like the paragraph in front of recipes, although she has that, but like every once in a while there's a page explaining how she got through this and this a challenge, or like what her community did in this time of her life, and how she really benefited from some family members. So there's kind of a self-help thing that's like family based. So yeah, food-centered community traditions, and I just really, really loved that. So if you like perusing a good cookbook, I took pictures of this one. So I don't have any tabs in there, but that's because I took pictures because I needed to return it to the library. Probably a dozen things in there that I wanted to cook, which sound really good. So there's that, cooking from scratch. And again, Marcy's channel is Brown Girl Collective. She does a lot of different genres, but they're all Black women authors, and they're basically like talking to Black women's experiences in the one series and Black women's wellness in the other series. So that's what this one is from. And she's great. It's really fun, funny. They had a great rapport. So if you have time, watch the interview. We love interviews. What do we have next? Okay, next, moving backwards in time, we have Trouble right here in River City. No, don't do this timer. There we go. Okay, the next one we have is Trouble by Lex Croucher. So this was a Pride read because there is gay and bi and trans representation in this book, and it's all pretty positive. So there you go. There is some, Regency Romance means it's not like an out and flaunting it kind of time, but they do have supportive local community members, and so it's not like a trauma filled book. It is, let's see, interesting. Other Regency tropes are also present, and they make this feel fairly historical. I liked the shipwreck. There's lots of like little things that they add in that make you know, oh, she is familiar with the period and does have some cred. So the Regency isn't lost there. I will say the constant like running away and coming back of more than one character did kind of seem too much for me. So like, I'm not going to give it the most high rating, but I did like the self-expression and the humor and the sort of opening up that people do as they get to know each other. Basically, there's a governess who's under false pretenses. She's filling in for her sister because her sister is sick. And there's a guy who has like a secret, and he's a Navy captain or whatever. So that's how it starts. There's also chronic illness representation because both his wife, who passed away, has chronic illness, and her sister, who is unwell, has chronic illness. So that is part of the author's story if you want to investigate. But this was a very fun Regency romance for Pride. And I will say it came up in my brain pan because I just picked that book out for a book tag. It asked for a book with flowers on the cover, and so this one had flowers on the cover. And so I looked at it, and then when I next went to pull out a book that was just like a comfort romance read, I was like, oh, let's do this one. I just got it. It's not that old on my shelf. And so that was a fun one, a fun romp, a Regency romp. But that tag was Banned Books tag, and that was done by Allie, created by Allie. So yeah, that was fun. You inadvertently helped me to read this specific book, which was a Pride pick. So well done, Allie, for getting that influence in there, even though you didn't know it. Jim says, we can only go forward in time. Does that mean your student was late and you're here? Phone calls. Oh no. Julie says, Music Man reference for Trouble. Yes, right here in River City. And that's Trouble with a capital T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool. That's a good musical. What can I say? It gets in your head, for sure. Okay. Continuing, moving backward in time with our links and our fun here. We have a hardcover that is a bright blue. So maybe you saw this on the thumbnail. It's a crumpled up paper with COVID-19 on it. So, trigger warning, we're going to talk about the pandemic. This book is called Restart. It's by Doreen Dodgen McGee, or Dodgen McGee. I don't know how she pronounces it, but that's her lovely face. She's a psychologist, and this is all about what the pandemic did to our brains, basically. And it was very helpful, especially because I'm going, I forgot to do the banner. Especially because I've been going to therapy again for a few months, and it's been great. And like the therapist suggestions and this gal's suggestions were like, boom. So I was like, oh, maybe they have a point. So yeah, let's see. I've got 4 highlights to pull from this, from my commonplace journal. And if you didn't know, the new thing I'm trying is a commonplace journal where I have like little fun doodles. I'm pulling stuff from YouTube videos as well as the books I'm reading. So like the romance books, there's not that much that I want to like remember to go on with and like learn from. But some of the other books like Restart are especially rich for like reflections. So I'm putting them in and reflecting on them. Damn it. All right. So one of the things in here I thought was particularly cogent. Unaddressed anger coupled with a feeling of powerlessness can lead to a particularly toxic internal state. You don't say. Okay, so this is designing a healthy post-pandemic life. Basically, like we've all been through trauma in different ways, and how do we be kind to ourselves going forward and sort of picking up the pieces, but also to other people who may have had a different kind of trauma. And so to be aware of the things that may have affected people differently. So when she's talking about unaddressed anger, it's like the people who lost someone reflecting to the people who are denying that COVID happened. And you're like, I'm sorry, excuse me? So unaddressed anger coupled with a feeling of powerlessness, because it's denial. You can't really argue with people on that. Toxic internal state. So yeah, it was from 2021, I believe. So she got it off pretty quickly to like help people deal with stuff. But I only just recently picked this up and found it really interesting. Another one we have on page 90, it says, and this is probably you. This is definitely me. For far too long, we've substituted stimulation for soothing. In reality, all it does is distract us from our dis-ease and reinforce the reality that we don't have what we need to comfort or regulate ourselves. Bingo. So that was the part where the therapy went like this, because I know some of y'all are strong and do not have TikTok on your phones, but we are not that people. Those people, you. So we do have TikTok on our phone, and that's the royal we, in case you're wondering. Anyway, I've had sort of like waves of turning TikTok on and watching stuff and being on it for half an hour or like an hour and a half, and realize maybe it doesn't do what I'm expecting it to. Because when I put TikTok on, what I'm telling myself is that I am zoning out. I'm numbing basically because there's too much stuff going on and I need to like slow it down and say stop, freeze for a little second, and then I can sort of come back and address things one by one. But Dodgen McGee says that what that actually does is stimulating. You're not soothing by watching all these other videos, whether they're funny or sad or angry. You're stimulating your brain watching these experiences. And I was like, am I though? I was on the fence. So I'm still sort of grappling with this because there are other things that produce much more addictive and intense behaviors that I notice. And TikTok is more like I'm just on it for half an hour. I do some things to people that I follow, like their videos, I catch up, and I basically land on one that is like calming, and then I go, okay, I feel calm again, and I exit, right? So I feel like I have a handle on it. But anyway, this calls that into question. So just maybe interrogate that for yourselves. I was never given much information or help on how self-soothing is supposed to happen. All I can picture is like a little toddler sucking their thumb, and that's self-soothing. Well, how do we do that as adults when we're like on overdrive? If you have tips, put them in the comments. Another good one, let's see, is page 120. Our habits help us feel as though we are exploring and expressing our values, but we are only often engaging them in a very intellectual and can't read my writing. Intellectual and something way. It's crucial as we re-enter embodied living and reorient our relationships to ourselves, technology, and others that we take intentional steps to use our values as spotting points in a normal setting. Okay, so if you don't know from dancing, spotting is when you do a bunch of turns and you're like spotting, you turn around and you find that that's how you like don't lose your balance, is you spot when you turn around. So she's using this metaphor to be of use in like using our values. So like consciously figuring out which values we hold the closest, and then making sure that the big decisions or even smaller decisions are geared towards that. They're what we're spotting towards or what we're aiming towards or going towards, you know? So I thought that was pretty useful. And here's the other side of this. Trying to meet expectations, internal and external, reach for goals, be there for everyone, etc., without prioritizing is like taping 15 sticky notes to 4 walls and then trying to use them all to spot as you fouette. That's me paraphrasing. She didn't say fouette, but that's a dancer term for when you do it on one leg and you're just whipping yourself around because you have that core strength and that talent. And I've done one, so I can't do more than one. It's difficult. It's advanced. But yeah, that really like plugged the image in my brain, because if you're trying to turn and you're trying to focus on one so that it'll keep you steady, and you're like going like this all over the sticky notes, all over the values, all over the goals, it's really not helping. So you need to like have one place that you're aiming for, and that will help you stay on course. So I thought that was really good. And that's what I have for restart. So let me catch up with the chat. Hello, Leslie. There we go. I clicked on it. It didn't come up for a second. Hello, Mojo. Welcome. Good evening. And Julie saying hi. Erin says, I deleted TikTok for New Year's and haven't gone back. I do just watch Reels now, though. Yeah. I barely go on Instagram. I just go on Instagram basically to see the videos that Leslie sends. And every once in a while, I'll see a story for someone who like is in my group that I'm watching, and I go, "Oh, Natasha Pulley's coming to Portland. I got to mark that on my calendar." But yeah, I don't ever watch Reels, except if they're in stories, because I go through like 5, and I'm like, I don't like this. For some reason, the TikTok format is better for going through, and I don't know. Yeah, good on ya. Delete, delete, delete. That's good curation. Next one. Next book, number 4, I have some more highlights in my commonplace book. This is the book with Ven. So Ven's off on the phone, but when he comes back, or maybe he can see it from here now that he's muted me. Gary Stevenson's book, The Trading Game, A Confession. Dun, dun, dun. So this is a book Ven and I decided to buddy read because we both watch Gary's channel. It's called Gary's Economics on YouTube, and that's his main social media. He is someone who is formerly a trader on the stock exchange floor, the foreign exchange floor specifically in London and the city of London. And he was an East Ender. He was a poor London boy growing up who was really good at maths. See, I said it. And ended up hitting all the right notes to get to this really elite job where he's with all these toffs. And basically this confession format is his, basically like he's gone undercover and he's sort of giving us his thoughts. It's 10 years since he was in it, but the confession is very revealing about his roots and his thoughts and his journey to, I would say, a Damascus conversion, because his channel, Gary's Economics, is all about inequality. So I'm going to put in the link to the buddy read discussion, which I just scheduled and tagged Ven in. But also the channel is Gary's Economics, if you want to check it out. He's switched from, he's not really educating about trading here. What he's doing is exposing how they work, what assumptions they have, and how it's all destined to fail. And so what he does on his YouTube channel is talk about how we headed off of the past and how we transform the system and how we do that through a wealth tax, because it's all about inequality that is running us into the ground. So I've got 5 highlighted quotes to share. So one of the things that really drew me up at the very beginning of this book was the quote where he was kind of floored because he was in, I think it may have been college LSE for economics. He won a game or something, and he was surprised when someone said, well, they were really surprised because he'd always expected himself to like win and be the best because he's had this experience in his own community. But he gets to this like elite level and other people are surprised because he comes from a poor background. So when he realizes that, he goes, oh, a lot of rich people expect poor people to be stupid. That's what he realizes. And he didn't know that before because he wasn't in those circles. So that was like I don't know. I just thought that was a very stark realization. And I wonder if we have seen that or like had that assumption in our own circles. He said everyone who knew him and Gary himself expected him to do well, but these new pink shirts, as he calls them, did not because of his background. I thought that was pretty revealing. He's got sort of this beef going on with Rory Stewart now because of their backgrounds and their assumptions, which is kind of silly, but that's what's going on in the YouTube podcast world at the moment. Another quote that I liked is on page 33. Listening to trades, nodding along sagely, pulling the faces of a boy thinking deeply, and of understanding nothing at all. So this is he's explaining like, how did no one catch on that I was understanding nothing at all? And ... After 15 years in finance and economics, I now know why none of that was noticed. Everyone's doing it all of the time. And I was like, bingo, because all the markets are, stocks, trading, all of that is a confidence game. And so this is why I refuse to get all, the Dow was above 50,000. Who cares? That is not reflective of any prosperity or success, in my opinion. It's a confidence game. If someone else is doing it, I'm going to do it. If someone else thinks this, then I should hedge with that. Like, I just have no admiration for success because I think it's all about exclusivity, and you can really get betrayed in that sort of environment. So nope, not for me. Page 186, you get another sort of like mind blown moment because he's talking about in an economic market, you've got people buying, you've got people selling. And so you've always got to have like an amount of wealth that is balanced, right? So like when you're selling, you have people who are winning and people who are losing. And the thing is, he's sitting on this trading floor. I think it was when he was in Japan, and he realized the system is always supposed to balance, but why is it getting shittier and shittier for everyone in real life? And he said, oh, it's because we are the balance. The pink shirts, the people on the trading floor, the people making themselves richer and richer and then getting compound interest and getting higher and higher into the 1%. They are the balance, which means the whole system is out of balance. And yeah, we were the balance. It was inequality. The reason that the system made sense mathematically was inequality, because you have concentration in the elites. And it was cancer. So he's basically using the metaphor cancer because, you know, let's see if my science background can handle this and my finance background. So in the finance world, he's saying when you have a 1% that is getting richer and richer, they need to put the money somewhere. They're not going to be able to buy goods and services enough to spend the money, billions of dollars. So they need to like park it somewhere in an investment. Well, what are they doing? There's not enough goods and services in the world for that. So they're buying assets. And what assets are left when you keep buying? And it's, well, housing is the one that we're all finding out right now. And then it'll be, you know, retirement funds. That's an asset that is getting sucked away. See our recent trillionaire action. And so it's basically like, it just gets worse and worse. And is it geometric or is it exponential? That's the part I don't know. Like, I can't really say, but it might be exponential because of the compounding interest of wealth. But that he likens to cancer, because cancer is when things get out of control and one type of cell keeps multiplying, and then the immune system tries to balance it and can't because it's just too strong, and the message is gone haywire. So it overtakes the health of the system, let's say. So yeah, inequality is like cancer. There we go. But I will say there are some funny moments and some reflective moments. He comes across as a very like fast talking, like, I don't know, hustler, basically, because he's worked so hard to get to where he is and to try to make it and beat the odds. But he also has some really funny moments. And just to give you a flavor of that, there's the part where he's in Japan and he's doing things like in a cultural clash sort of way. He doesn't realize he's offending these people. He says, let's see. If you are studying beginner's Japanese in a textbook, one of the first words you will learn is iie, for no. Technically, according to the dictionary, this is the correct word, but no one ever actually uses it. Why? Because no one ever actually says no. There's a kind of wobbly nasal grunt you can do, but that's more an internationally accepted sound for no, and you can only really use it with your friends. With people you aren't that close with, you just never say no. So he's talking about someone who he works with. Hisa started doing this constantly. The problem was I didn't understand. So he's trying to give this no signal, but Gary didn't understand because he wasn't deep enough into the language yet. I put my feet up on the table, and Hisa would hiss like I'd stepped on his foot. I'd turn and look at him confused and then try and nod off. He's trying to sleep during work because he's not doing his work. Hisa would contort his body and breathe out really throaty and slowly, as if pulling an arrow from his back like the fucking Japanese Saint Sebastian. And I just thought that was hilarious. So he's describing this like conflict with a coworker that is a cultural clash, and he's calling him a fucking Japanese Saint Sebastian, which I found funny because of my Catholic background, probably. And then the reflective part. So hustler, fast talker, but there's a part where I was like, oh, I'm asking these same questions, so I could relate. So he's talking about after having this Damascus conversion and sort of being let go. There's a whole thing at the end where he has issues leaving the bank, the Citibank. But then he gets to this point where he's reflecting, and he says, could it be this then forever? Could I live in this way, onward and onward, season after season, just sick? As long as I was sick forever, I'd never have to go back to work. The world would float on like the seasons, and I'd spend my life cycling through rain. How would that be? Would that be a good thing? Is that a good game? Is that a good life? So he sort of cycled through these, you know, too much, not enough, and he's sort of stuck in this externally controlled situation. And he's wondering, could I do this? And he's asking himself these, like, what is a good life? Is this a good life? do I need to change my circumstances? What else can I do? And so I like where he ends up, but a lot of this, he's like bad boy extraordinaire. But yeah, so I will be discussing this with Ven on Monday, July 6th. That is the link if you want to put a notification in. It'll be the regular time, but on a Monday. So 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. British summertime. And I'm excited. Ven hopefully will have recovered from his work debacle by then. All right, so that is book 4. We're halfway through. Any questions? Any current reads you want to throw in? Oh, Leslie, that reminds me I need to send you more cat photos. Yeah, there was a funny one with a cat launching itself on someone's shoulder, which was pretty epic. Erin says, I wish I could lock TikTok so it was only animal videos. I have a pretty substantial, I don't know, maybe 20% is animal videos. I'm okay with that. That's a good percentage. And then if you're interested in inequality and policy to get at inequality, both in British and in American markets, because he talks about both, definitely sign up for Gary's channel. He's good. Jim says, currently reading The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Oh, that's right. You mentioned that. Excellent. I hope you like it. I found it a little slow to start, and then like the action sort of ramped up, and I really enjoyed it. It was very fast paced, kind of like a Alice Quinn. Is that the other historical action? Alice Network. Kate Quinn. The Alice Network, Kate Quinn. That's the remaining book of hers that I have to go through. So yeah, good. I forgot to put a banner up for that one, so I'll just put that up in memoriam. There we go. We talked about trading game. I put the links in. Next is, as I type rapidly. Not rapidly according to Eva, but, you know, rapidly for me. This one. Has anyone read this one? Solutions and Other Problems. See if you recognize the art, because that will be a big giveaway. It's a graphic nonfiction because it's a memoir. This is Ali Brosh's second. The first was pretty big. This is even bigger. Ali Brosh is the artist, and the first one is called Hyperbole and a Half. So if this looks familiar, you may have seen Hyperbole and a Half. It was really, really popular. I think she took like 10 years or something to put a sequel out, and this is from a few years ago. So I think she's a Northwest person too, but she has a very distinct style. And, you know, I think one of the most fun things about Ali Brosh's cartoons, illustrations, is that she gets into the minds of her characters in her life and then just creates huge backstories and is like very inventive and imaginative. And it's kind of an absurdity, but it also helps her process. So that's basically what this is. Solutions and Other Problems is her sort of mining. Oh, what did I call it? Composting, mining, either way. Composting deep pain for others. So she's gone through some shit, and she's sort of putting a lot of other stuff in, and then occasionally, like, boom, slicing your heart open. And the one piece that I found the most slice worthy was when she comes to the main conflicts in life. And she has food, power, what to do about the unavoidable realization that nothing is fair or means anything. I don't know what to do about these. I just wanted to tell you. So it's like this like childlike writing and very stick figure, but the expressions come across. So it's funny, but it's also heartbreaking. I think that is her genius. If you haven't read Ali Brosh, you would do well to check out from the library, find your books. I found this at the used bookstore, one of them for Portland Book Week, and was like, finally, I'm going to do this. It's quite a heavy hardcover book, but I was like, all right, I can get it at this price and see about it. So I really appreciate her journey, sharing, and her art and her humor. So Ali Brosh, look her up. Either book would be great. That is book 5. Cat Paw is reading Sleepless by Annabelle something. I heard about it on Nocturne podcast and liked the working title better than Night Spinners. That is good. Yeah, Sleepless is like Sleepless in Seattle is the only thing I can think of. Erin is currently reading an indie author, Philip P. Peterson, PPP, and the book is called Paradox. That's a lot of P's. I don't know if that's necessary. Is that their real name? I'm suspicious now. Excellent. Indie author. That should make Ven happy. All right. Number 6. Are we ready for number 6? I've got a Climathon book. You saw it in the description if you were looking closely. So I'm going to remember. Yes, Climathon book. The Future Earth. This is the one with the pretty cover that I got a while ago. Eric Holthouse. And basically what this is to me, I've got a lot of highlights from this one to share, but the style or format was a lot like the Green New Deal video that AOC put out. So I'll share that in case you're interested in watching it. It's like a 10-minute video. And basically it's putting yourself in the imaginative tense and saying, what would the world be like if we did this? Or working backwards, since we're working forwards and backwards. Envision a world that you want to be in 20 years or 30 years. Okay, what do we have to do to make that a reality? That's how you do goals, right? You look towards, I want to be able to do a marathon. Well, how long is that going to take to happen? Okay, I'll give myself 4 months. Well, if I'm going to take 4 months to go 26 miles, how does my training schedule need to be, right? So I think this is back in like 2018, 2019. So this is like pre-Trump. And so the video is an artifact because there's like no going back to this now. Like we still have to do the things, but like the optimism is really painful to watch in this video. Watch it anyway. It's a good exercise. And so is this book. So this book, it's basically like someone saying, this, I think it's written in 2019, but they look forward and say, oh, in 2032, this happened, but we were prepared because we'd done this. And that meant that this person said this about the whole experience. So they're like imagining what would be future, like a futurist would do. If you've ever come across a futurist's writing. So it's kind of weird. The Green New Deal video is an example of this, but in book form, I would say it sort of stuttered in using the verb tenses because it would go from current viewpoint to future being like looking back to the past. So it was a little sort of like a record skipping going back and forth. That was a little bit difficult. It also felt a bit vague, like it was background noise, like it was kind of whiny. There wasn't like the sharp ping of awareness or discoveries. The format, I think, sort of led it into this. And we did this. And it wasn't that great. And it didn't feel as impactful. So there are a lot of good things in here. You can see I tagged a lot of things. There were good policy discussions and people spotlighted that were doing important work that I would definitely like look up. But not my favorite climate book, just because of the format, which is unfortunate, like the style decisions. But let me give you a taste. I've got 9 highlights from this one, which meant it was really good. I just didn't love it. There's a lot of interesting things. I just didn't love it. So the first quote from page 11 that really gave me Lorax vibes was, "It can't go on like this. Somehow, some way, we have to learn how to care about one another again." And the Lorax quote is something like, "It's not going to get better until someone cares a whole lot. It's not going to get better. It's not." That's kind of like the rhyme that Dr. Seuss uses. If you haven't seen the Lorax movie, definitely watch the movie. It's a musical. I love the songs. I love the vibes. It's impeccable. Please watch the Lorax, the recent movie. I don't know, like 8 years ago or something. Care about one another again. Yeah. Because I think the reason we can say, oh, waste, it'll go somewhere else, I don't have to worry about that problem, is that we don't care who it influences. I remember I used to have a like dirty dozen list of the fruits and vegetables that were the worst offenders of inorganic being like toxic, like having bad pesticides and stuff on it. So it was like, if you have to economize, make sure you get these organic so that they don't have those toxic residues, and don't worry about the potatoes or bananas or whatever. And I was like, okay, great. And so 10 years later, I was like, I try to get organic everything now or like local sustainable, that I know the people are doing the right thing. Because even if I'm not ingesting something that's terrible, horrible, the land was, and the harvesters were. So there's other people in the system that you need to worry about besides yourself. Just saying. So that's a great quote. Page 24. Ooh, this is a good one. This is what climate change feels like, whether you live in X or Y or Z or whatever. Persistent chaos, a subtle unknowing, a sudden loss of the familiar, the reshaping and redirecting of dreams, and unlearning of expectations. Ooh, that's so good. And I put that all in caps and I said, emphasis mine, because I love when I get to cite things and say that. I don't get to do that much anymore, but emphasis mine. An unlearning of expectations. You can't expect the climate to be the same anymore. You can't expect to live without AC, for example. You can't expect, I don't know, peach farmers to make a profit. Well, that's more of a human-centered system, but you get the idea. Climate change feels like a million small things that add up to a disruptive, unsettled feeling. So that's why I say that people who are depressed or anxious, like, it's not necessarily something like diagnosable and a mental disease. It's a mental illness. It's a reaction. It's a organic reaction to the system we are living in. Like, who is not feeling this? They should be seen. They should be seen too. All right, page 25. Trying to decide between 1.5 degrees and 2 degrees is like choosing between The Hunger Games and Mad Max. That's a quote from Kendra Pierre-Louis, climate reporter for the New York Times. And yeah, if you don't know what that means, 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2 degrees Celsius. We wanted to keep the average change, so like all the changes everywhere averaged, from going up past 1.5 degrees Celsius. And we've passed that. And so now our goal is, let's not get it above 2 degrees Celsius. But some people are still saying we need to get it back to 1.5. So that's measuring the outcome. Other people measure the actual concentration of carbon dioxide equivalent. And so that's why we had 350 ppm, parts per million, for a long time as a goal. But now I checked it last Tuesday, I guess, and last Tuesday? Holy cow, yeah. That week went by quickly. It was at 430. So just think, like, we've increased it by 1/3 in a couple hundred years. That was less than 350 for tens of thousands of years anyway, without human influence. So that's pretty scary. Hunger Games or Mad Max? Now, I haven't seen Mad Max, so I don't really know what she's comparing it to, but I get the idea. Page 32, another great quote. Liminal spaces are temporary, incomplete, and portentous. Liminal spaces. I love that. They imply possibility to such a degree that it is sometimes literally frightening, like a cave. You're not inside, you're not outside, you're in a cave. Right now, Earth, the entire planet, is a liminal space. Right? So we're transitioning from something and a way of life that we knew and was familiar, and we're in this like temporary, what's it gonna come out as? I don't know. The possibilities are endless and really quite frightening. So I thought that was a pretty good quote. And another one, like a framing realization, climate change is first and foremost a problem of our relationship with the future. This is from author and philosopher Alex Steffen. The way that we think about the future is almost entirely cultural. Now, the first quote that I did was, we have to care about another again. about each other, right? And so this is caring about each other across generations. This is like not even the 7th generation, like I think a lot of Native American quotes refer to, but just like 2 generations, your grandchildren. And envisioning those people and how those people, when they grow up, deserve to have a life that is equally opportunistic, free, and livable as we do. And so there's this inability to think about long-term planning. It's just what's now, what's the profit, what's the quarterly wage, whatever, which is pretty gross. Page 46, in many ways, the planet is changing so fast that we simply don't have time to study the problem anymore. I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, so the science deniers, and this is part of what these great books that I've been bringing up, like I Want a Better Catastrophe and Hospicing Modernity. Like, we really don't have time to cater to the climate science deniers anymore. They're in a world of their own. They're flat earthers. Like, don't even bother. It's not worth your time. Yes. But the people who are collecting the data don't do it to like prove that it's happening anymore. I think the reason we want to collect the data now, changing so fast, is to see if any of our efforts have any effect, right? That's what we want to know, is what we're doing working in any possible way. Yeah, so that made sense to me. And here's a looking up thing. Do I want to do that? No, I'll end on that note. So let me skip forward a bit. So he's talking about waste management on page 123. For us to get to where we need to go, we need to become a society with a cultural focus on repair and maintenance rather than innovation and inefficiency. Okay, so you may have heard lots of technocrats telling you that innovation and efficiency is how we're going to win. Like geoengineering and biotech and all this stuff, like the new flashy solutions. And I love this because those words have been programmed to mean positive things to us. And what we need is to have repair and maintenance have a much more positive force for us, right? So we need to get out of the, ooh, innovation, let's do that. Ooh, efficiency, that's easy. Out of that mindset and into the mindset of, we can repair this. Let's have skills. Let's have maintenance budgets for roads, fucking cities. Like, concentrate on keeping the things that you have operable. Yeah, like basic science, basic budgeting. Why? Yeah. So that landed pretty well with me. Let's see. Penultimate quote, page 182. Is, it has to do with something that I was telling my mom the other day. So this is a quote from Pablo Suarez from the Red Cross in 2017. He spoke forcefully against the potentially delusional assumptions of rationality that have dominated discussions of geoengineering so far. Okay, so let me break it down. There's a lot of big words. A lot of people are discussing geoengineering, which is one of these innovative technologies that's going to save us. And what this guy says from the Red Cross is like, the people who are going to be using and have access to these technologies are not going to be rational actors. It's kind of like talking about the stock market or, the legal system, the courts system right now, and thinking everyone is acting honorably, right? We have flown past that here in the US, and there's a name for it. So the legal doctrine that you would assume that the government was acting honorably was basically called presumption of regularity. And recently there's a headline saying the presumption of regularity is evaporating because all the goodwill that the US government has built up, I mean, some of it, track record's not so great, but generally in big court cases, we've had an upward trend of like doing the right thing, right? And the government was actually trying to work within the confines of constitutional law until the last, 10 years maybe. And we've sort of gone off the rails. We are no longer, the courts have said, federal judges have said, we are no longer assuming that the Department of Justice, that the police in this case, that whatever cop force is working within the confines of constitutional law because they have been caught lying too many times. They have been caught brazenly lying too many times. You don't get a pass anymore. You have to prove it. So the same is happening with geoengineering and scientists and innovators, people who have green tech companies that they want to IPO and blow up and just get rich, pump and dump. Delusional assumptions of rationality. They are not acting rationally so that we have a future Earth. They are acting to get rich quick and don't care about anyone else's future. So be wary. I thought it was a great Pablo Suarez quote. And then finally, to end the future Earth on a positive note, for systemic transformation, there's 3 points we want to think about. So write these down, maybe meditate on these, and I will ask about them on Friday and see if anyone has thoughts. Number 1, ask yourself, what is my vision of a better world? When you think about all the things you don't like about the world now, what would you change? What will the world look like if it was healed, if it was solved? Number 2, what steps need to happen for it to become a reality? It's kind of like how we're working backwards from our goal. What do you need to put in place to get there, to get to that vision? And number 3, starting today, where do I fit in that vision? What are my skills? What is my knowledge? What are my abilities, KSAs? Where do I fit? How do I help that become a reality? So I thought that was a great framing. You have the big vision that you get to do on your own. You have the steps that you think out and do research for. And then you have, where do I fit in? How do I plug into this network? Who do I connect with? Who do I offer my skills to? Who do I volunteer with? I just love that. So positive note to end with. Hi, Gareth. Not late to this one, becoming liquid form as I watch. Oh, see, Gareth is melting as well. Excellent. We're almost done here. I've got 2 more books and they're romances, so they won't have as much to talk about. Julie says, all the way up to the Supreme Court not operating within the laws of the Constitution. Yeah, but unfortunately, we don't have anyone else to slap them on the wrist with a evaporating presumption of regularity. Hey, Diane. Hello. All is well with us. Hope you're doing well, too. All right. Whew. Okay. Got a little warm. I mean, warmer than the apartment already is. 7. Book number 7. Let me change this out. This is a Josie Silver book, another recent purchase. One Night on the Island. This is a contemporary romance with a cute little graphic cover. First time I've read Josie Silver, but she's pretty popular with One Day in December. Contemporary romance, and it's got emotional depth, people. It's also set on a remote island in Ireland. It's great. I love the setting, so that sort of like hooked me, I will admit. There are 2 main things here that are going on. So there's what was that? What did I do to make that happen? I was just doing this. Why were there balloons? Anyway, moving on. I saw movement and I was like, what is happening? 2 main things that are going on. Was it this? Peace balloons? I don't know. Anyway, the main character, she's our main character. She's sort of burnt out. She's going on another assignment because that's what she does. She writes a single romance column for a paper in London, and her editor, who's great, sends her on this assignment to do a retreat and get married to herself. So someone famous did this and it went off, and she's like, I'm not that person. I can't make it cool. It's just going to be pathetic to marry myself and sort of validate my self-worth as a single person. But she does it anyway. And so sort of we are on this journey with her to take herself seriously. And it's beautiful. This is a really emotionally deep. I think the author does a great job of treating it as this sort of weird pop, trending thing. And she doesn't really believe in it. She's going to go through with it anyway because it's her job. And then she's put in this dicey situation and really has to battle that at the same time as come to terms with if she's really going to do this for real, if she's really going to try to believe in herself and just let go of not being enough. And so that really hit home. The dicey situation is the other piece of the novel, which is the male main character. We have trading perspectives, as you do in many romances. And he is someone who is separated from his wife and struggling with the fact that he's not enough for her and his whole life has been overturned. So he's like past the point where our female main character is and is trying to grapple with the change that wasn't his to instigate. And they booked the same Airbnb, essentially. So forced proximity, one of my favorite tropes. So he's an American and she's a Brit, and they're in this remote island in Ireland, and the boat only comes once a week. So, you know, there we have it. There's only one bed, so someone takes the sofa because it's modern and there's consent. But, you know, they hate each other, they scheme, they get to know each other, and, you know, romance ensues. I would say it's a bit less successful. The emotional depth for the male main character, only because he's dealing with she does really well with like the breakup of his life before and how he has to come to terms with moving on, except his wife, who we do get to meet because they come back to the US and he's sort of struggling on. She came off as very surface for me. She did these ambiguous things and it was like trembling and like, you know, she's got this look in her eyes and I don't know how to interpret that. So the ambiguousness of the interactions with the wife was sort of weird and made her sort of a flat character for me, but he still has this great arc. So our two main characters still have a lot going on and like go far in their arcs to meet each other for the happy ever after. But ultimately, the independence and self-love themes are strong enough to make this a 4-star. So, highly recommend. One Night on the Island, Josie Silver, great contemporary romance. Delightful. Like depth, emotional, but also delightful. So that was a good one. Let me get my last banner up and ready. And we'll finish on a slightly less fantastic, but still fun, Claws and Contrivances. That's a fun title to start, and that's part of what drew me in. Other thing is Stephanie Burgess. I know her from social media. She's an indie author. I think she may be hybrid at this point, but she does supernatural fantasy romances. You can tell because there's a dragon. There's several dragons, actually. So that's what attracted me and hooked me in. And this is the first time I saw any book of hers in the wild. So that was great. I picked it up used. There's dragons. They're mini dragons. They're very cute. So we have lies to start. So we have mistaken identity and then like miscommunication almost. But it's not that kind of miscommunication trope. Basically, we have a guy who's honorable and trying to do the right thing. And then we have this girl who's very unself-aware. They're young. I think they're like 20-ish. And we have lies to start and then miscommunication sort of to continue. There's no doubt as to where it's going. There's a bad guy who mistreats animals, so we know he's the baddie. And she's pretty unself-aware, I would say. But there's a fun good guys win and animals live happily ever after vibe. So it was fun. Stephanie Burgess, Claws and Contrivances, and it's definitely set up for her sisters to have their own novels, so I'm sure it's part of a series. Regency Dragons series. So there we go. So that was fun as well. And that is my 8th book for the 2 weeks. I do these Wednesday wrap-ups every 2 weeks. I usually have between 5 and 8 books. And some I go more in depth, some I go less in depth, but that was a good sample here. And that is our live stream for the day. I may be going to the coast. I don't know. I got to get a reservation because I don't want to show up and not have anywhere to sleep. But I will see you on Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, and I'll let you all know what happened. Catpaw says, Jake from Scissor Sisters married himself at the Bestival on the Isle of Wight. Okay, is that a band or is that a book? Scissor Sisters sounds like a band. The Bestival. I don't know what this is. Julie says, I thought of author Elsie Silver, who I also have heard of, but this is Josie Silver. Yes, and they both write contemporary romance. You are right. Claws and Contrivances. I'm trying to remember if there's something else in this. Oh, there's a lesbian representation in this, for sure. And that's like a healthy younger sister, not the main character. In Trouble, like I said, there is gay and lesbian and trans representation, but not the main character. So another pride read, I guess, if you want to throw it in. Again, it's just part of the natural environment. So I like when people put it in historical fiction or romance. Yeah, it's great. Scissor Sisters is a band. Okay, and Festival must be like a music festival I haven't heard of on the Isle of Wight. Gareth would know. Festival is a festival, another island, Isle of Wight, around 2006, 2007. There's only one? Is it like, not Woodstock? What's the female rage rock festival that I'm trying to think of? I can't think of it. Married Himself. Well, that's cool. I didn't know guys did it. There we go. Equal opportunity. All right. That is my haul, my book delivered to you. And hopefully those were illuminating selections and you found something you would like, or maybe one you want to stay away from. I don't know. But hopefully you like all these. I liked all these. Yeah, these are all 3.5 and above. So recommend, and more or less depending on your proclivities. So thanks for coming to watch, everyone, the live stream. Friday is set to be an author update. It's the last live stream of the month, and that's usually author update space for the past few months. So who knows what I'll be reporting on. We know we've given up writing for the time being, so we feel much better. Again, the royal we. But maybe a little trip to the coast is what I need, and I'll come back with something brilliant. Let's hope for that. Until then, diversify that reading list. Let me know what you're on about. What's your new favorite thing? What are you interested in for June? Is anyone doing June on the Range? Anyone doing Caribathon? Anyone doing Pride reads intentionally? Let me know. And I will see you again soon. Thanks, everyone.